The bags sit by the door. Packed. Ready. Prince William's hands shake as he stares at his phone. 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes left. Tell the world the truth by midnight, or my family leaves the country and the monarchy forever. Those words still echo in the private study where he delivered his ultimatum just hours ago. King Charles had gone pale. The most powerful man in Britain, reduced to silence by his own son's desperation. Prince Louis should be sleeping. Instead, he's awake again, asking questions no 6-year-old should have to ask. The same questions that have torn this family apart for months. The same questions the palace has refused to answer publicly. The phone buzzes. A text from Catherine. The car is here. Keisha packed the last of his medications. We're ready. Hi viewers. Have you ever had to choose between protecting your family and staying loyal to your job? William closes his eyes. 6 months ago, Louis was the picture of royal charm, giggling on balconies, stealing hearts at family events. The world adored him. The press called him the people's prince in training. Now those same photographers are banned from coming within 50 feet of the family. The official reason? Privacy concerns during a difficult transition period. The real reason sits in a classified medical file that 3 people have seen. 3 people who now carry the weight of what could destroy the monarchy. 11:52 p.m. The king still hasn't called. 8 minutes left before William makes good on his promise, before he takes his family and disappears from royal life forever, before he chooses his son over the crown. But tonight, something else waits in that study. Something that changes everything about succession, about bloodlines, about the future of the throne itself. The document Charles received this morning didn't just confirm their worst fears. Proved the palace has been lying for months. Before we delve deeper into why this ultimatum was the only choice left, subscribe so you never miss these unfolding royal truths. The first sign appeared at the Commonwealth Games ceremony. Louis stood perfectly still during the national anthem, too still for a child his age. His hands pressed flat against his legs, his eyes fixed on one spot in the crowd. Masking behavior, Dr. Amelia Washington had called it when she reviewed the footage weeks later. Children with heightened sensory sensitivity often freeze when overwhelmed. He wasn't being well behaved. He was protecting himself. But the palace spun it differently. Young Prince Louis shows remarkable composure for his age, the official statement read. The truth lived only in the private notes Dr. Washington was never supposed to share. The second clue came during the family's Cornwall vacation. Photographers who had covered royal events for decades suddenly received calls from palace security. No cameras within 200 yards of the family residence. Violation results in immediate ban from all royal events. Veteran royal correspondent Marcus Thompson later admitted in confidence. In 20 years, I'd never seen them create that kind of buffer. Something had spooked them. Bad. The third piece of evidence emerged from Kensington Palace staff. A former nanny, speaking only on condition of anonymity, described the morning everything changed. Louis woke up and couldn't remember where he was. In his own bedroom. The same bedroom he'd slept in for 2 years. That's when they called the specialists. The photographer embargo wasn't about privacy. The medical consultations weren't routine checkups. The canceled appearances weren't scheduling conflicts. They were covering up an irreversible neurological shift that had already begun. But the palace's careful choreography was about to collapse. Someone else had been watching, documenting, preparing to expose what the royal family thought they could hide. The question wasn't how long Louis had been struggling. The question was how long the palace had known, and what they were willing to sacrifice to keep it secret. We cannot allow sentiment to override centuries of protocol. Sir Geoffrey Hartwell's voice cuts through the private study like ice. The king's most trusted advisor leans forward, his weathered hands clasped tightly. The coronation anniversary approaches. The Commonwealth is watching. We cannot afford instability. Prince William stands across from him, his jaw set in a way that mirrors his late mother's defiance. This isn't about protocol, Geoffrey. This is about my son. Your son is sixth in line to the throne. His condition creates constitutional complications we're not prepared to address publicly. The words hang in the air like poison. Constitutional complications. As if Louis were a problem to be managed rather than a child who needs help. Catherine enters quietly, her face drawn with exhaustion. She's been fighting this battle for months, writing letters to senior advisors, demanding transparency, pleading for support. Each request has been met with the same cold response. The family's privacy must be protected, but privacy has become a prison. The boy needs specialized care, William says, his voice rising. He needs doctors who understand his condition, not palace physicians worried about leaks. He needs normalcy, not this isolation you forced on him. King Charles sits behind his desk, caught between his role as grandfather and his duty as monarch. William, we all want what's best for Louis, but there are considerations. Considerations? Catherine finally speaks, her voice barely controlled. Our son asked me yesterday why he can't go to school anymore. How do I explain that the palace is more concerned with image than his education? Sir Geoffrey adjusts his glasses. The transition can be managed privately. The Balmoral estate has excellent facilities. Complete privacy. The best care money can provide. You want to hide him away. William's words are flat, final, like some dirty secret. The study falls silent except for the ticking of an antique clock. Each second marks the growing chasm between a father's love and institutional loyalty. King Charles reaches for a folder on his desk, the classified report that arrived that morning. His hands tremble slightly as he opens it. There's something else. Something we all need to discuss. The document inside doesn't just detail Louis's diagnosis. It reveals a genetic thread that connects this moment to a tragedy the royal family thought they'd buried decades ago. Dr. Kimberly Hayes had spent 15 years studying pediatric neurology. She'd never expected to become the keeper of royal secrets. The leaked medical file sits on her desk, marked with red stamps, confidential, royal household only. Someone had risked everything to get this information to the right specialist. Someone who knew the palace's chosen doctors were more politician than physician. The scans are unmistakable, Dr. Hayes explains to the encrypted video call. Her voice carries the weight of devastating certainty. Early onset neurological degeneration. Progressive but manageable with proper intervention. The child shows classic signs of developmental atypicality combined with heightened sensory sensitivity. The medical terminology sounds clinical, but the reality is heartbreaking. Louis's brain processes the world differently now. Loud sounds feel like physical pain. Bright lights trigger overwhelming anxiety. Simple social interactions have become exhausting performances. The condition isn't life-threatening, Dr. Hayes continues, but it requires significant lifestyle adjustments. Complete transparency with caregivers, specialized educational support, and most importantly, reduced public pressure. Everything the palace refuses to provide. The report contains another bombshell buried in the genetic analysis section. A hereditary marker that appeared in the Spencer bloodline 3 generations ago. The same marker that may have contributed to Princess Diana's struggles with public life, her sensitivity to media pressure, her need to escape royal constraints. If left unaddressed, Dr. Hayes's voice grows grave. This pattern could develop into a crisis of identity with constitutional ramifications. The child may reject his royal role entirely as a protective mechanism. The irony cuts deep. The palace's attempt to protect the monarchy by hiding Louis's condition may be the very thing that drives him away from it forever. But someone else has seen this report. Someone with access to royal medical files and the motivation to use them. The leak didn't happen by accident. It was a warning shot fired by someone inside the palace walls. Someone who knows that the cover-up has already gone too far. Louis sits cross-legged on his bedroom floor, building blocks scattered around him like fallen soldiers. The palace feels too quiet tonight. Even the usual sounds of staff moving through the corridors have stopped. "Daddy!" His voice cuts through the silence. William kneels beside him, trying to keep his hands steady. "Why do I have to smile when I'm scared?" The question lands like a physical blow. 6 years old and already carrying the weight of performance, of hiding his truth behind a mask the world expects him to wear. William's throat closes. How do you explain to your child that the institution you serve values appearance over authenticity? That the crown he'll inherit comes with chains attached? "You don't have to smile if you're scared, buddy." The words come out hoarse. "You never have to pretend with me." Louis looks up with eyes that seem too old for his face. But Grandmother Elizabeth always smiled. Even when the doctors came. Even when she was tired. The innocent observation cuts deeper than any accusation. Already, at 6, Louis understands the royal game better than William wants to admit. The performance never stops. The mask never comes off. Catherine appears in the doorway, her face streaked with tears she tried to hide. "Louis, sweetheart, can you play in the garden room? Daddy and I need to talk." She's been holding it together for months, playing the perfect princess while privately researching specialists, fighting for accommodations, pleading with advisors who see her son as a problem to solve rather than a child to protect. "Mummy?" Louis stands, his small hand finding hers. "Are you sad because of me?" The dam breaks. Catherine drops to her knees, pulling him close. "Never because of you, my love. Never, ever because of you." William watches his family fracture under the pressure of secrets. His son blames himself for the chaos around him. His wife carries guilt that belongs to the institution, not to her. The palace has turned their love into a liability. The phone buzzes. 11:56 p.m. For minutes left. But in this moment, watching his son comfort his crying mother, William realizes something that changes everything. The crown isn't worth this price. The monarchy isn't worth his family's pain. Some thrones are too expensive to inherit. Emergency lights flood the private corridors of Buckingham Palace. Senior advisors move like shadows between rooms, each carrying pieces of the crisis that threatens to shatter the monarchy's foundation. Sir Geoffrey Hartwell's phone rings constantly. Commonwealth representatives demanding answers. Media outlets asking pointed questions. Palace staff leaking fragments of truth to the highest bidders. The situation is containable, he tells the assembled crisis team. We relocate the family to Balmoral. Complete media blackout. The boy receives private care away from public scrutiny. Lady Margaret Ashford, the Queen's former private secretary, shakes her head. You're not listening, Geoffrey. The Prince of Wales isn't negotiating. He's given us an ultimatum. The old guard refuses to bend. Centuries of precedent have trained them to weather scandals through silence and separation. They've hidden royal struggles before mental health crises, addiction problems, family conflicts. This feels manageable to them. But they've never faced a parent willing to burn the institution down to save his child. William is emotional, Sir Geoffrey dismisses. Fathers often react dramatically to medical diagnoses. He'll see reason once the shock passes. This isn't shock, Lady Margaret's voice carries warning. This is a man who watched his mother destroyed by our silence. He won't let it happen to his son. Across the palace, Younger staff members whisper different conversations. They've seen the medical reports. They understand what hiding Lewis's condition really means, forcing a child to perform normalcy while his brain processes the world in ways that make royal duties torture. Deputy Communications Director Shayla Jenkins puts down her phone with shaking hands. The American networks are asking about Prince Lewis's absence from recent events. Someone's feeding them information. The leak isn't random. It's coordinated. Someone with access to royal medical files has decided the truth serves the family better than the cover-up. Sir Geoffrey's face hardens. Find the source. Immediately. But the damage spreads faster than they can contain it. Each passing minute brings new questions, new scrutiny, new pressure on a family already breaking under the weight of institutional expectations. The palace machine that once protected the monarchy has become the weapon destroying it. And somewhere in the darkness, the clock keeps ticking toward midnight. The Spencer family medical records span 4 generations, each page revealing patterns the royal family never wanted to acknowledge. Dr. Kimberly Hayes spreads the genetic analysis across her desk like pieces of a devastating puzzle. The hereditary markers are unmistakable, she explains to her encrypted contact. Heightened sensitivity to stress, processing differences, emotional overwhelm under public pressure. It's been there all along. Princess Diana's struggles weren't just personal weakness or media manipulation. The constant headaches, the need for isolation, the way crowds drained her energy, all symptoms of the same neurological differences now manifesting in her grandson. The palace knew. Medical files from Diana's early royal years document anxiety episodes and stress-related complications. Royal physicians prescribed rest and privacy, the same treatments they're denying Lewis now. The irony is cruel, Dr. Hayes continues. Diana's sensitivity made her brilliant with people in small settings, but torture in large public events. Lewis shows the same pattern. The genetic thread connects 3 generations of Spencer women who struggled under royal expectations. Diana's mother experienced similar overwhelm during high-profile events. Her grandmother withdrew from public life entirely after what family records describe as nervous exhaustion. The condition isn't a weakness. It's a different way of processing the world that becomes unbearable under constant scrutiny and performance pressure. With proper support and understanding, people with these traits often become deeply empathetic, intuitive, and creative. Without support, they break. The palace has the power to give Lewis what Diana never received, Dr. Hayes says. Accommodation instead of performance demands. Truth instead of cover-up. Support instead of isolation. But the genetic analysis reveals something else that changes everything about the succession crisis. The same markers that create sensitivity also correlate with exceptional emotional intelligence and natural leadership ability when properly nurtured. Lewis isn't just Diana's grandson struggling with her challenges. He's potentially her successor in the best possible way, if the monarchy can evolve enough to embrace his differences instead of hiding them. The question isn't whether he can handle being royal. The question is whether the royal family can handle having him. The study door slams shut. William faces his father across a room that has witnessed centuries of royal decisions, but none quite like this. 30 seconds, William says, his voice deadly calm. Tell me you're going public with the truth, or Catherine and I walk out that door with our children and never look back. King Charles holds the statement that will change everything. 2 paragraphs acknowledging Lewis's neurological differences, requesting public understanding, and announcing new accommodations that prioritize his well-being over royal tradition. If we release this, there's no going back, Charles says. The media will dissect every aspect of his condition. Opposition politicians will question the succession. Republican movements will use this as ammunition. And if we don't release it, you lose your son and grandsons forever. William's words cut through royal protocol like a blade. Choose, father, the crown or your family. The weight of 1,000 years of monarchy presses down on the room. Every king before Charles protected the institution above all else. Personal sacrifice for public duty. Individual needs subordinated to royal responsibility. But William represents something different. A father who learned from his mother's destruction that some prices are too high to pay. A man willing to break the system rather than let it break his child. The palace machine will fight this, Charles warns. Geoffrey and the old advisors will never accept accommodation over concealment. They'll work to undermine Louis's position, question his fitness for future duties. Then we replace them. William's response shocks them both. This institution serves us, not the other way around. If it can't adapt to protect a 6-year-old child, it doesn't deserve to survive. The clock on the mantel chimes midnight. Charles looks at the statement one final time. Two paths stretch before him. Preserve the monarchy as it's always been, or transform it into something that might actually deserve to exist. His phone buzzes with a text from Catherine. Car is running. Louis is asking if Grandpa wants to come with us. The king picks up his pen. The future of the British monarchy balances on the edge of his decision. The statement releases at 12:01 a.m. 5 sentences that shatter royal tradition and save a family. Prince Louis has been diagnosed with a neurological condition that affects how he processes sensory information and social interactions. He requires accommodations that prioritize his well-being over traditional royal duties. The family requests privacy during this adjustment period and asks the public to show the same compassion they would want for their own children. Prince Louis remains a beloved member of our family and will participate in royal life in ways that support his unique needs. We choose transparency and healing over silence and performance. The response explodes across social media within minutes. Parents sharing their own stories of children with similar conditions. Advocacy groups praising the royal family's courage. Medical professionals offering support and expertise. But the real victory happens in a quiet bedroom at Kensington Palace. Louis sleeps peacefully for the first time in months, no longer carrying the weight of secrets he couldn't understand. William sits beside his son's bed, watching the steady rise and fall of his breathing. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, media requests, political criticism, institutional resistance. The palace old guard won't surrender easily. Yet tonight marks something unprecedented in royal history. A moment when love conquered tradition, when vulnerability became strength, when a family chose truth over image. Catherine joins him in the darkness. The palace switchboard is overwhelmed with support calls, she whispers. Thousands of families saying thank you. The monarchy survives by evolving, not by hiding. Louis's condition isn't a weakness to conceal. It's an opportunity to demonstrate that the royal family understands the struggles of real people living real lives. Some institutions must break to become beautiful. Some secrets must be spoken to become strengths. Some crowns must be redefined to be worth wearing. The most important royal story isn't about power or tradition. It's about a father who chose his child over his crown and discovered that true leadership requires the courage to change. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the inspiring stories that follow this moment of transformation. Share your thoughts in the comments about times when you've had to choose between tradition and truth. Your stories might inspire others facing similar choices.